I had seen stories like this before, but I never thought it would happen in real life, especially not to me. So, you can imagine my shock when my wife of almost 20 years said to me during dinner, "Sweetheart, we need to have a conversation." My heart raced, and I braced myself for what might come next. Was she confessing to cheating? Did she want a divorce? I couldn't help but wonder where we went wrong. I looked at her across the table, my hands trembling. "Talk?" I managed to ask, trying to keep my composure. "About what?" "Well, first, I want to say that I love you," she began, taking a sip of wine, seeming nervous. I noticed she hadn't eaten much. I scrutinized her every move, hoping for a clue about what she was going to say. Unable to bear the tension, I blurted out, "Have you been unfaithful, Maggie?" Her expression changed, and she looked at me wide-eyed. "No, never," she assured me. "I would never betray you." Though the emphasis she put on cheat made me uneasy, I felt a bit relieved. If it wasn't infidelity, then what could it be? "Are you thinking about leaving me?" I asked, fearing the worst. "Oh, George," she sighed, "where are you getting these thoughts? I'm not leaving you. I love you." "Great," I replied. "I love you too. I want us to grow old together and share our lives." Maggie's face lit up and she smiled warmly. "Me too, George." "Then what's wrong? Are you feeling okay?" I asked, starting to worry about her health. "I'm fine, dear," she reassured me. "I didn't mean to worry you, but I've been feeling like something's been off between us lately. With Meredith off to college, things just feel different. It might be empty nest syndrome or a midlife crisis, but we seem stuck." I felt a bit relieved, but still concerned about what was bothering Maggie. "Stuck? How so?" I inquired. "Well, we're so busy with work that we hardly have time for each other. Your job takes you away often, and I'm stuck at the office late. When we're not working, we're both exhausted. When was the last time we were intimate?" "When was the last time we had love?" I echoed her question. Honestly, I couldn't recall. Maggie hadn't been interested in it for a long time. I had to resort to masturbating alone for months. "It's been a while, but every time I try anything even slightly, you turn me down. There's always some excuse." "True," Maggie admitted. "I know, I'm usually exhausted when you're in the mood. But back when we were younger, tiredness didn't stop us. We used to have closeness 3 or 4 times a week. Now it's like once every 3 or 4 months." "If that," I agreed with her. And I was getting frustrated. It sounded like she was blaming me for the lack of closeness when she was the one who always said no. If it were up to me, we'd be intimate more often. "And well, I want us to break out of this routine," she explained. "I want to improve things between us so we can stay together for life. We're both feeling bored, George. We need to shake things up." "I'm not bored," I countered. "I've got plenty of excitement in my life." "Excitement? Really? What do you have planned for tonight?" she asked me with a smirk. "I'm watching The Curse of Oak Island." "They're claiming tonight they'll make a big discovery," I replied, pondering her remarks. "Don't they say that every week and all they ever find is mud and bits of wood?" "Well, yeah," I conceded. "More or less." "See?" she grinned. "Boring." "Okay, it's not boring, it's comfortable. We're comfortable. That's what happens when you've been married as long as we have. You get comfortable." "I don't want comfort," Maggie explained. "When we first got married, you used to ravish me every night. You haven't done that in years." "Is that the issue?" I asked, setting my fork down. "Do you want me to ravish you? Pull down your pants and bend over the table? I'll ravish you right now." "That's not exactly what I had in mind, George. Honestly, I have just as little interest in having closeness with you as you do with me. It's just where we are in our lives. We've lost the spark, and that's what concerns me. We're still in our 40s. We have many years ahead. I'm worried that if we've lost this much romantic interest in each other already, what will we have left in a few more years? How will we manage to stay together? We'll stick together because we're married. That's what married people do. We're used to each other and we're comfy. And who says I'm not interested in being intimate with you? Of course I am. We're like roommates now, George, but comfortable ones." "I think we're more than just roommates. I mean, we still have closeness occasionally and we love each other." "So we're roommates with occasional perks. Yes, I love you, George, and I know you love me. But can you honestly say you're still head over heels for me, like you were when we tied the knot ages ago?" "It's different," I tried to explain, "like a fine wine. Our love has grown and mellowed over time. We're older now, and our desire isn't as strong as it used to be." "But it could be," she said, holding my hand. "Don't you want to feel excited and the spark of chemistry again, like we did before? I don't know, Maggie. I kind of like how things are now." I mean, sure, I'd love to have more closeness, but I enjoy coming home and chilling with you, calmly and peacefully. We've put in a lot of work to get here. It's like that darn hammock in the backyard. It's been there for almost 20 years. Every year, I kept telling myself that one day I'll be able to just lay out there, relax, and read a book. Well, now when I'm finally ready to do that, you're saying you want to get rid of the hammock. Maggie looked at me, processing what I said, then shook her head. I don't get that, but I'm not asking you to give anything up, honey. I'm saying I think we need to bring back the romance to spice up our love life before it's too late. My desire isn't gone. It's just been quiet. I want to feel the excitement we used to have when we couldn't get enough of each other. So you're saying our bed life isn't satisfying anymore? No, not at all. You're a great lover, caring and skilled. You always know how to please me, and I've never faked it with you. The issue isn't that our closeness is bad, it's that we never seem to want it. What are you saying? I asked. I'm lost. I'm saying I need more. It feels like we've stopped being lovers and become just partners. I want to feel your love for me again. I want to feel my love for you again. I want passion. I want desire. I want romance. I want closeness. But you said you didn't want closeness. Do you or don't you? I want closeness. It sounds like you want to feel young again. Are you sure this isn't just your hormones acting up? Are you having hot flashes? Don't go there, George, she snapped. Don't belittle my feelings and blame it on me being a woman with hormonal issues. Just because I'm upset doesn't mean it's PMS, and wanting to revive our love doesn't mean I'm going through menopause. I'm sorry, you're right. That was thoughtless. I'm just trying to figure out where all this is coming from so suddenly. Honey, it's not sudden. I've been thinking about this for a while. I'm scared that if we don't make some big changes to reignite our relationship, our marriage won't make it. She looked like she was about to cry. I understood what she meant. Honestly, we'd been coasting for a while. Well, if this isn't out of the blue, I snapped, why bring it up now? Why didn't you talk to me about this earlier? It's taken me a while to get here, she said, but I'm bringing it up now because I didn't want it to keep eating away at me. Maybe she had a point. I cared about Maggie, and I'd do almost anything to make her happy and strengthen our bond. Okay, I'm all ears. I can see you've thought about this a lot, and it's important to you. What should we do? Should we see a marriage counselor? I've heard about something called intimacy coaches. Should I look into that? Those are good ideas, she said, wiping away a tear with a smile. Thanks for suggesting them. I think we should consider that. I also had a few other ideas. Like what? Well, let me ask you something first. Your company is a creative agency, right? You always tell me how you're among the best at what you do. Yeah, we're one of the top 2 in the state, maybe top 5 in the country. Why? How does that relate to our love life? Do you hire the top-notch folks? Absolutely, we do. And how many of them have stuck around for, let's say, 20 years? None. Our company's only been around for 6 years. We're always bringing in fresh talent. Our field sees a lot of turnover. Got it, so you're constantly bringing in new blood with new ideas and approaches? Yes, we're big on innovation. Our way of doing things is always evolving. And these newcomers keep bringing in new skills and energy, making things better for everyone? Yep, that's the gist of it. Where are you headed with all this? George, we're hitting our 20-year mark next month. We were exclusive for 3 years before that. In all that time, I've been faithful to you. And as far as I know, you've been faithful to me. That means for almost 23 years, we've only been with each other. You were my first. And as you've said, you had only 2 girlfriends before me. True, I replied, starting to feel uneasy about where this was going. A knot formed in my stomach. And? Well, would you hire someone at your company if they learned their skills 23 years ago and never updated them or had any fresh ideas or education? Would you want employees who only practiced their work once in a while? Would your company be top-notch if everyone didn't strive to improve and innovate constantly? What? Of course not, but that's work. This is about us. What's your point? I'm saying that 23 years ago, we were at our best. We had great closeness, frequently. It was exciting and new. But then, life changed. We became parents, then professionals, then busy with various activities. We honed our skills in those areas, but neglected our connection with each other. We kept doing things the same way we always had, from 23 years ago. It got dull. The excitement faded. We got tired of the routine. We lost the spark. What are you trying to tell me, Maggie? I'm saying I'm done with comfort, George. I'm tired of it. I want something fresh. I want excitement. I want to learn new things and become better at lovemaking. I want to use that to reignite our spark, to shake up our dull, cozy life. I want to feel love again. I want a partner who's passionate, not just a roommate. I need that fire. Okay, I said, my voice shaking. I felt jittery all over. I wasn't sure if it was anxiety or adrenaline. Maybe it was my instincts kicking in. I'll do whatever it takes to bring passion back. We can have regular date nights and do activities you enjoy. I'll cut down on TV and we can find a hobby to share. We can travel more too. You love trips, so why not go somewhere each month, even if it's just a night at a trendy hotel in town? Maggie took my hand in hers, kissed it, then shook her head. George, I know you'd move mountains for me if you could. I know you think those ideas would help, but in the end, it's still us doing them. We're still stuck in the same routine. Nothing will really change, and soon enough, we'll grow tired of that too. Those suggestions are a start, but they're still too comfortable. We're not truly learning or exploring anything new. So what's your plan then? I was following along, but now I'm lost. What exactly are you suggesting? Should we try going to a swingers resort or something? Oh God, no, she replied, making a disgusted face. I couldn't handle a place like that. I don't want to deal with creepy people trying to get us into casual closeness. No, not that at all. Then what? I asked, feeling frustrated. Well, I think we need something to shake things up, to reboot our relationship, something fresh and exciting to reignite our romance and bring back the spark in our bed life. At this point, I was willing to consider almost anything she suggested. That sounds interesting. I'm open to it. How would you propose we do that? I think I should start seeing other people. Anything but that. Whoa, hold up, I said, pulling my hands away from my wife and giving her a puzzled look. Repeat that. I don't think I heard you correctly. I said I'm thinking about dating other people. Yeah, I got that. I heard you loud and clear, I said, leaning back in my chair. Then I leaned forward again, staring at my wife like she'd lost her mind. Are you serious? She seemed taken aback by my reaction. Yes, I am. I've really thought this through. I believe it's what we need. Maggie, you've had some wild ideas in the past, but this one tops them all. I don't see it as crazy, George. If you let me explain, you'll understand. Please go ahead. Explain how you want to enhance our relationship and spice up our bed life by dating other guys. George, I'm not talking about cheating on you, not at all. That's not what I mean. So you want to go out with other men instead of me? Yes, exactly. On actual dates, like romantic ones? Yes, that's the plan. And a proper date just like you'd go on if we weren't married? I hadn't thought of it that way, but yes, exactly. A genuine date. So, would he get intimate with you on the first date, or would you make him wait like you did with me? George, I never mentioned intimacy. True, but you talked about a real date as if you weren't married, and on real dates, people often get intimate. So, are you saying intimacy is off limits with your dates? Well, no, I'm not saying that. So, you're open to being intimate with them? I didn't say that either. I'm just saying I'd see where things go and how the relationships develop. Relationships? So not only do you want to date other guys, you're open to intimacy and developing relationships with them. You're twisting my words, George, focusing only on what you want to hear. Yes or no, Maggie? Would you have love with these dates of yours? She paused. It's not that simple. Yes or no? I guess so, yes. Then that's being unfaithful. No, it's not. How do you not see that as being unfaithful? You're going out with another guy, having a romantic date with him, and being intimate. That's being unfaithful. I was furious. I was quickly losing my cool. This could turn ugly if I wasn't careful. Maggie tried to stay calm, irritating me as she always did when I lost my temper. It was like she was trying to prove she was more civilized than me. It wouldn't be unfaithful, she reasoned, because you would give me your consent and approval and you would know all the details about who I was with and what I was doing. We would share everything after I got back home. Oh my gosh, I yelled, stressing each word. You not only want to betray me, but you also want to completely humiliate me. Why would you think I'd ever agree to you dating or okaying you being with someone else? What's gotten into you? Did you really think I'd go for this nonsense? George, please try to stay calm so we can talk about this. There's no need to shout, and there's no need for harsh language, please. I stared at her. Did you honestly think I'd go along with this? I knew it might be hard for you to understand, but you love me, and you're a reasonable man. You're intelligent. I figured, and still do, that you'll calm down and see the reasoning behind it and agree to support me. Support you? Yes. While you're with other men. George, it's not just about being with other men. If that's all I wanted, trust me, I could have been doing it for years with many guys. Heck, I could have been with your brother, your buddies, even your boss. They've all tried hitting on me countless times, but I didn't. I'd never cheat on you. I'd never do that to you. But you're suggesting it now. No, sweetheart, she corrected me. This isn't about cheating. It's not just for me. It's for both of us. It'll bring excitement, fun, and new experiences. Our bed life will come alive again. I'll feel alive again, and you'll be a part of it. We're in this together. What? You want me to join you on these dates? Well, no, I meant together in a broader sense, not literally. You'd be at home while I go out on the date. Then when I return, I'll share all the details with you. I chuckled. So you expect me to pleasure you after he's been with you and even clean up after him? She blushed, actually blushed. I couldn't believe it. She really did want me to do that. Well, that would be the ultimate way for you to show your love. I'd sooner freeze over before I ever do that, I told her coldly. Okay, we can skip that part, she offered. Unless you want to destroy our marriage, you'll skip the whole thing. It won't destroy our marriage. You being intimate with another man will. It won't be lovemaking, George. I saved that for you. I love you, not him. It's just about act. Just act? Yes, just act. I studied her for a moment. What exactly does that mean? It means there won't be any emotions involved. We'll only be exploring each other physically, nothing more. Just act, I echoed, pondering her words. Exactly. Let me get this straight. Sure, take your time. You want to have just act with another man, I clarified slowly. If it comes to that, yes, she confirmed. So why? Why seek just act with someone else? She didn't have a ready answer. I guess for variety, to try something different. Which suggests I'm not fulfilling your needs. You're not satisfied with me and want to find someone better. Wait, no, Maggie protested. That's not true. I love having closeness with you. You're fantastic in bed. I don't want anyone else. If that were true, I reasoned calmly, you wouldn't be considering someone else. The only reason for seeking just act with someone new is to upgrade, to find someone better at it than what you have. That's not true, she countered, offering no evidence. Oh, but it is, I argued back. Think about it. If you love sushi and you found the best sushi spot in the world right next door, but there are 20 other sushi spots in town, why bother trying the other 20 when you already have the best sushi right here? She pondered for a moment, then replied, to try something different, I guess. But why? If you know this place is the best, would you want to go somewhere you know won't be as good or satisfying? I asked, continuing. Of course not. You'd only explore other spots if part of you thought it could be better, that maybe one of the other places might surpass the one you love. I'm a bit confused, she admitted, appearing a little downcast. If it's only about closeness, why seek it elsewhere? If you're content with our bed life, if I satisfy you, then why not have more closeness with me? We hardly ever do. So, if you just want more, we can have it more often. But instead, you'd rather do it with someone else who might be better or worse. Obviously, it's not just about closeness, or you're not satisfied with me. You think he might be better. I'm not sure, she said, looking puzzled. You're making this complicated, but it's not like that. Okay, so it's solely about act, right? Yes! How many times do I need to say it? Yes! Okay, if that's true, I have a suggestion, I said with a grin. She seemed to brighten up, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. You do? What is it? If it's only what you want, then I'm willing to let you explore it. She seemed taken aback. You would? I'll hire a male escort to come here and be intimate with you, I said. He'll be skilled at pleasing women. I'll make sure he's well endowed and has a clean bill of health so you can have unprotected act and with Big Johnson. Then you can have your just act. An escort? Are you out of your mind? She exclaimed. Because it's only about act, I countered. If it's just act, then who it is shouldn't matter. He's simply a stranger for you to enjoy. Actually, this is a better option. Since he's random, there's no chance you'd know him. It'd be quick, and he'd be gone. You'd get what you want without risking emotional attachment. You're making me sound like a street woman. I don't want to do it with some unknown gigolo. I need a connection with the person. I'm not just an object. Exactly, I said with a smirk. So it's not just about closeness. You want more than that. You want intimacy with a specific person because you have chemistry with him. Her face flushed again and she couldn't respond. Finally, she said, Okay, maybe that's partly true, but it won't be significant. I chuckled. What do you mean by that? It won't be significant to whom? To me. To him. We both know it's just physical. He knows I love you and he's not expecting anything more. You really believe it won't be meaningful to you? I do. Then why do it if it's meaningless? Huh? Maggie, you're not making sense. Why engage in something if you know it holds no meaning? If it means nothing, you wouldn't want to do it. You want to be with him because it does mean something. She buried her face in her hands and groaned, "You're making my head spin." And it means something to me. We agreed to only share that level of closeness with each other when we got married. But now, you're willing to toss that aside just to experiment with someone else. You want to explore that closeness with someone else you feel connected to. You're not content with the intimacy we share, nor with our bed life. So, you're seeking an upgrade. No, that's not it, she murmured weakly. So you're hoping to sleep with him to find out he's not as good as me? Has a smaller Johnson? Can't satisfy you? She just stared at me. Of course not, I snapped. You wouldn't consider it if you thought it might be the same or worse than what we have. You're only interested because you believe, or at least suspect, it'll be much better. The thought of it excites you. I don't know, she yelled. I never thought about it like that. You're confusing me. So what happens when you return home after he satisfies you more than I do? Have you considered that? She began, then paused. I never considered that. What are you saying? I mean, how can you expect things to be the same between us after you've experienced better closeness with someone else? You say you're doing this to spice up our bed life, but if he's better than me, you might not want it with me anymore. You'll desire him. And even worse, I'll know you're just going through the motions with me. How can our relationship continue? We'll just keep going like we always have. How can I keep going like before, Maggie? What do you mean? How can I continue like usual knowing I don't fulfill you enough? How can I kiss you, knowing another man's kiss means more to you? How can I touch you, knowing his touch is preferred? She looked at me silently. How can I be intimate with you again, knowing you might be thinking of him? If he's better than me, how can you be happy with me? I didn't marry you to be second best, she shook her head. But it won't happen like that. If it won't turn out that way, why even go for it? You're considering it because you think it'll be amazing, unlike anything we've had. Otherwise, you wouldn't even think about it. When she didn't reply, I continued. And you know what's worse? There's no winning for me in this. I love you, find you stunning, and have only ever wanted you. I thought we had great bad life, but now you're shutting us down. It doesn't matter how good we are together. You're fixated on how great it could be with him. The thrill of something new, the excitement of being naughty, the risk, it's all driving your enthusiasm. Even if we were equal in every way, you might still think he's better. There's no way I can win. He's the winner no matter what. She stared at me, speechless. I was beyond angry. Who's been putting all this crap in your head? George, please. Maggie, screw you. George! No, I'm dead serious. Leave me alone. This is all nonsense. I'm never going to agree to you dating anyone. I won't sit around while you're out with someone else. And if you thought for a second I'd let someone else touch you, you're not the person I married 2 decades ago. You've changed into some wild person who doesn't care about our marriage. She was completely taken aback. I'd never spoken to her so harshly before. George, you're blowing this out of proportion, she said, tears streaming down her face. No, I'm not, I said calmly, my voice steady. You're not taking this seriously enough. Get out of my house. I don't want you here anymore. You're right. We won't make it to 20 years. It's over now. Just the thought of suggesting something like this tells me you've already checked out of our marriage. So, leave. I'm not leaving, she said stubbornly. This is ridiculous. I live here. I'm your wife. We live here. You can't just kick me out. Let's talk this out like adults. All right, fine, stay put. I snatched my keys and wallet from the counter and made my way through the kitchen to the garage. Where are you headed? She asked, panic evident in her voice. Tears streamed down her face as she stared at me in disbelief. Anywhere but here. It reeks in this place. Please, George, don't leave. Let's talk it out. We can work through this, she pleaded desperately. I paused, turning to face her. Here's the deal. I'll stick around if you promise me one thing. Never bring up this idea again or anything like it, and pledge to remain faithful to me for the rest of our lives, just as we vowed on our wedding day. No more thoughts of other men, No more desires for anything but us. Her eyes betrayed her inner turmoil, her struggle evident. She seemed on the verge of a breakdown. George, please, I think it might help us. That sounds like a no to me, I replied, opening the garage door. Maggie's cries for me to stay echoed behind me. Wait, please, I swear it. I promise I won't mention it again. Just don't leave. I turned around again, with one last thing on my mind. I don't know who's been feeding you all this garbage, but I'll figure it out. If I find out you've been seeing him or sleeping with him, I'll divorce you. That's a fact. We're not dating, George. Nothing's happened. But there's a we. Got it. Fine. Go ahead, be with your boyfriend. You probably already are. We haven't, I promise. If you want any chance at salvaging our marriage, you better not be lying. No more secrets, no more lies, no more games. I'm not, George. I swear, we just talked about it. You talked about sleeping with another guy. So this whole thing confirms what I've been saying. Your request wasn't about meaningless act. You want my approval to be with some specific guy you've already been planning things with. I'm so disgusted with you, I said, which only made her cry harder. I can't even look at you right now. I'm sorry, George. I didn't think you'd react this way. He said you might be upset initially, but would come around. Upset? I yelled. Who the heck is he? She paused. I glanced towards the open garage door. By not telling me everything, you're picking him over me. Stephen, she admitted. Stephen Archer. The consultant you've been working with lately? The guy from the dinner at Houlihan's? Yeah, him. We've been talking. I needed to sit down. I shut the door, returned to the table, and faced Maggie. Tell me everything, I demanded. Everything? She questioned. Yes, I want to know all about your conversations, what you did, and everything about this guy. She nodded. Can I sit? It's still your house, I replied. She nodded again, took a seat, and began to explain how we ended up in this mess. Over the next couple of hours, my wife shared everything about Stephen Archer and how he manipulated her. This had been going on for months. He started slowly, subtly trying to influence her with his nonsense. He was careful not to push too hard, knowing she'd catch on if he did. According to her, they'd only talked so far. She hadn't even kissed him. That was part of his strategy. By not making any overt moves, he made her believe his intentions were innocent. He planned to wait until I agreed before making a move. By the time she finished, I realized two things. One, my marriage was likely in trouble, even if she cut ties with Stephen. And two, Stephen needed to face consequences. I needed a plan for both issues, but felt stuck on what to do. I needed time to figure it out. Are you still upset with me? Maggie asked. I'm not sure how to describe what I'm feeling, Maggie, I admitted. A big part of me is hurt and mad that you'd even think about what Stephen suggested. If you wanted to spice things up, there were plenty of other options, like maybe not turning me down every time I tried to get intimate. Maggie looked down, seeming regretful. After a moment, she looked back up. And what about the other parts? I sighed. Another part of me feels sorry that you got tricked by Stephen. It wants to forgive you and move forward. That sounds good, Maggie said, smiling. Can we just forget this ever happened and go back to how things were? No, we can't, I said honestly. There's still a part of me that wants to walk away and never look back. I might forgive you eventually, but it's going to take time and effort. Maggie nodded. Is there any part of you that finds the idea exciting or fun? Come on, Maggie, I yelled. Are you seriously asking me that after everything I've said? I'm sorry, she mumbled, looking ashamed. I'm really sorry. So what's next? To be honest, I'm not sure, I said. I need some time to figure out what I want to do. The fact that you're still considering it says a lot. I'm really sorry. Please tell me you don't want a divorce. I don't know, I snapped, but it depends on you. If I catch you lying, it's over. If you don't shut Stephen down completely, it's over. He's probably going to ask about it. What should I do? You need to decide what you'll tell him. Do you talk outside of work? Call? Text? Anything? Not really, she explained. We mostly talk at work. Stephen made it clear we shouldn't contact each other outside the office, but he'll probably bring it up tomorrow. I don't know what to say. Should I tell him to forget it? Definitely, I said, thinking about how to handle the guy who wanted my wife. Is he married? Maggie nodded. Yeah, she murmured. They just had their second kid a few months ago. Good grief, Maggie, I burst out. He just had a baby, and you were thinking about messing around with him? What about his wife and their family? Did you even consider them? He said his wife's fine with it. They have an open marriage. And you bought that? She blushed. It was clear she was starting to see how foolish she'd been. Yeah, I guess I wanted to believe him. I realize how dumb that was now. Maggie, I said, studying her, if we're going to save our marriage, you've got to have my back. You've got to be on my side no matter what I do or say. If you hesitate or side with him in any way, forget it. We'll call it quits. I'm on your side, honey, Maggie promised. I swear it. You and our daughter are all that matter to me. Stay here, I said, getting up to grab my laptop. I brought it back and opened it, sitting next to Maggie. Have you checked his Facebook page? Yeah, a few times, but he's not big on social media, she said. I slid the laptop over to her. Find it for me, I requested. She typed a bit, then said, Here it is. There wasn't much info out there for the public eye. Stephen's profile on Facebook had no relationship status, no family pics, not even a mention of his wife. So, I hopped over to LinkedIn and looked up Steve Archer. Jackpot. He spilled more beans there than on Facebook. Know his wife's first name? I asked. Janet, Maggie answered. I did a quick search for Janet Archer and found 2 results. Is she a realtor or an IT recruiter? He said she runs a fancy real estate agency that deals with million-dollar homes, Maggie said. I clicked on the realtor link. Her profile popped up showing a beautiful young blonde. Is this her? I wondered, staring at the gorgeous wife of Maggie's middle-aged would-be lover. I don't think so, Maggie replied. I've never seen her pic. But that lady doesn't match the description he gave me. He said she was older, overweight, and not pretty. I chuckled. Of course he did. This Janet Archer looked young, fit, and stunning. I pulled up her Facebook page. Looky here, I said. Her public profile says she's married to a Steve and has 2 daughters, Selena and Catherine. Sound familiar? Yeah, Maggie said, eyeing the woman's pictures. Those are Stephen's daughters' names. I scrolled down and found a bunch of family photos. Some were from a recent youth cheerleading event. It showed Janet with her daughters, and right beside them, smiling, was Steve. Maggie gasped. That's him! No offense, Maggie, I said, pulling up some photos of Steve and his wife. Why would he bother with you when he's got a gorgeous wife at home? She looked stung. Good. I don't know, she said, on the verge of tears again. That's not what he told me about her. You said they're in an open marriage, right? I asked. That's what he said, Maggie replied, sounding unsure. I found some bikini pictures of Janet and whistled. Maybe I overreacted, I said, gazing at Janet's pretty face. Maybe I've been seeing this wrong. What do you mean? Maggie asked. You have his number? I asked. Maggie looked nervous. Yeah, why? You're not calling him, are you? Nope, I said. You are. Maggie looked shocked. I can't do that. Wait, you said you were on my side. You have to back me up no matter what I decide, right? She nodded. Yeah, that's what I said. So, are you still with me? I am, she confessed. Great, I said. Then give him a call. All right, I will, Maggie agreed, but paused. Before I do, can I ask why? I grinned. Well, Stephen wants to sleep with you, right? Maggie nodded. So, if I'm going to let him do that, don't you think it's only fair that I get to sleep with his wife? Wait, seriously, Maggie exclaimed. You want to sleep with his wife? Look at her. I pointed at the picture of Janet Archer in a skimpy bikini. She's attractive. That's not happening, Maggie stated firmly. I chuckled. You wanted to add some excitement to our bed life, right? Yeah, Maggie said, crossing her arms. I did. And you thought hooking up with Stephen would do it, I clarified. So wouldn't it be even more exciting if I hooked up with his wife too? I mean, they're in an open marriage, right? Yeah, but... Maggie hesitated. It wasn't about you being with some random woman. Oh, really? I grinned. So she's a random woman? What makes her random? She's married to Stephen and can be with other men. You're married to me and want the same. So, doesn't that make you just like her? Maggie shot me a look. No, it's not the same. Why? I asked. How's it different? And how's me hooking up with Janet any different from you and Stephen? She's too good looking, Maggie insisted. So, it's okay if I hook up with someone not so attractive? I questioned. No, that's not what I meant, Maggie said, sounding defeated. It's just not the same. Are you worried I'll enjoy it too much? I prodded. Maybe. Or that I'll prefer her over you? I continued. Maybe. Or perhaps you're scared I'll be thinking of her when I'm with you? I pressed. Yes, damn it, Maggie confessed reluctantly. I see what you're getting at. I thought we agreed to drop it. Yeah, but that was before I saw her and really thought about your idea, I admitted. Oh, so just because you think you can hook up with a hot girl, you're suddenly okay with me and Stephen? Maggie retorted. Hell yeah, I replied enthusiastically. Why not? You're a jerk, Maggie declared. Wait, I'm a jerk because I want fairness? You're the one who wanted to hook up with someone else. I'm just going with it, I defended. No, you're messing up what I had in mind. So, you wanted to be intimate with others, but you don't want me to do the same thing? You're just trying to confuse me. I told you it wasn't like that, Maggie said, her voice shaking with emotion. Maggie, let's stay calm and talk this out maturely, I urged, using her own words. I'm starting to think this could benefit us. I don't want any part of it, Maggie insisted. You talked me out of it. I realized it was a mistake. It is a mistake. Let's just forget the whole thing. Let's not rush into anything, I said, finding his number and beginning to dial on Maggie's phone. Let's reach out to your friend and see what he says. No, Maggie yelled. Hang up! Don't call him! Shh, calm down, I said softly, motioning for her to quiet down. It's okay, honey. It's ringing. I put the phone on speaker so Maggie could hear both sides of the conversation. A man answered in a hushed tone. Maggie, I told you not to call me at home. Hi, is this Stephen Archer? I asked, speaking clearly. There was a long pause, followed by a click, and then the line went dead. That's strange, I remarked to my wife. We got disconnected. Let me try calling back. Maggie reached for the phone. Please don't do this. Shh, I hushed her, pulling the phone out of her reach. Sounds like you're having second thoughts. I am. Hello, Stephen. This is Maggie's husband. Are you still there? I inquired. Yeah, what do you want? Stephen responded, sounding annoyed. Is this a bad time? I inquired. What do you want? He repeated, sounding more irritated. Well, I started. Maggie mentioned your idea about going out on a date. There was silence on the other end for a moment. And? He finally responded. And I think it could work, I said. Maggie tried to intervene, but I quieted her and continued. Of course, with some clear boundaries and agreements. Boundaries and agreements? Stephen echoed, sounding puzzled. Yeah, I confirmed. If you're going to be involved with my wife, let's keep it all above board. No secrets, right? Sure, I guess, Stephen replied, lacking confidence. I mean, we don't want to wreck a marriage with lies and tricks. I love Maggie and want to keep her, so I said, okay, as long as we're all open about it and know what's going on, cool? Yeah, Stephen agreed. Sounds reasonable. Maggie stared at me in disbelief, her mouth wide open. When I glanced at her, she shook her head and said, Honey, I don't want to go through with this. I waved her off. Great, I said, turning back to Stephen. Why don't you go get Janet and put the phone on speaker? What? Stephen responded, sounding stunned. Why don't you bring your wife, Janet, the mother of your two daughters, Selena and Catherine, the woman you're in an open relationship with, so she can hear all the details? Listen, you jerk, Stephen snarled. I don't know what kind of game you're playing, I interrupted him. Stephen, I'm not playing games, I reassured him. Maggie told me how you and Janet are swingers, and you're fine with whoever she sleeps with. We were looking at her bikini photos on Facebook, and I have to say, I'm excited to be with her while you're with my wife. You what? He exclaimed sharply. I'll be with Janet, your wife, while you're with Maggie, my wife. Isn't that what swingers do, swapping spouses? Keep my wife out of this, you jerk, Stephen demanded. Stephen, buddy, I said calmly. It's a bit late for that. You've been wooing my wife for months. Wasn't Janet pregnant with Selena most of that time? Congrats on her birth. I bet Janet's all set and ready for some action. Shut up, he yelled. I told you to leave Janet alone. Oh, so she doesn't know you're after Maggie? I thought you guys had an open marriage, I said, glancing at Maggie, who was crying with her face in her hands. I heard a woman's voice in the background. Honey, what's going on? Who's on the phone? Nobody, it's fine. Just get the girls ready, Stephen replied to his wife. Oh yeah, I continued. It's a big day today. Catherine has a cheerleading tournament this afternoon. How do you know that? He questioned angrily. It's wild what you can find out on Facebook, I chuckled. I've got an idea. I waited for his response. It took a moment while he thought about it. What kind of idea? He asked finally. Why don't Maggie and I join you and Janet at the tournament? We'll fill her in on what she's missed. Then we can hit a bar, have a few drinks, get acquainted, and head back for a night of fun. I'll even let you and Maggie have the master bedroom. Stephen growled over the phone, then hissed back, Stay away from my wife and kids, you jerk. I'll mess you up if I see you near us. Hey, calm down, Stephen, I told him firmly. You said we shouldn't keep secrets and everyone should know. That includes Janet, right? Screw you, jerk, he shouted. Don't ever call me again. All right, I'll just dial up Janet then. I responded quickly before he hung up. Wait, Steven snapped. How did you even get her number? Steve, that's beside the point, I informed him. What's crucial is that everyone knows what you've been doing with my wife and what your intentions are. There was a pause, then he asked, What do you want from me? I want you to keep away from my wife, I snapped. If I catch wind of you near her, I'll spill the beans to Janet about everything. Clear? Crystal, he responded meekly. But we work together. I can't avoid her completely. Maggie's on vacation for the next 2 weeks, I informed him. By the time she's back, you better be long gone from that company. You're a consultant, so tell your bosses one of the wives got too close. And it's best for the account to transfer you. They'll likely have you out by the time Maggie returns. And if I don't, he challenged. I turned to Maggie. Maggie, call Janet on your phone and spill everything. She looked at me, surprised. It was a bluff, but Stephen didn't know that. I motioned for Maggie to go along. All right, she said, wiping her tears. Wait, Stephen yelled. Okay, I'll talk to them first thing in the morning. Good, I replied. You're not as dense as Maggie thought. One last thing, Maggie can hear you now. Apologize to my wife. I could sense Stephen's anger. He took a deep breath and muttered, Sorry, Maggie. Before Maggie could reply, I intervened. Don't ever contact my wife again. Now get ready to head to the cheerleading tournament with your family. Best wishes for Catherine. I hung up, tossed the phone on the counter, and faced Maggie. She looked up at me, her eyes pleading. I'm really sorry, she started, but I gestured for her to stop. Tomorrow call your boss and explain you have a family emergency. Need a 2-week break, I instructed. She nodded, avoiding eye contact. Now, pull your pants down, bend over the table, and let me show you how I feel, I commanded. Maggie met my gaze, sensing my anger. She bit her lip, obeyed, and bent over the kitchen table, pushing aside our untouched breakfast. I stood behind her, delivering a firm slap on her buttocks, leaving a bright red mark as she winced in pain. I'm the only one you'll be going out with, I growled, then made love to my wife with more intensity than ever before.